Howdy, lads, MBs, and lasses. If you live in the Harris Branch neighborhood in Austin, Texas, I'm your neighbor, Anthony. Just uploading really quick for the residential HOA board meeting that occurred on January 2022. I really wanted to run down what was discussed and give you insight into what the board is up to and how you could possibly get involved. So as you can see on the screen here, every third Thursday of the month, there's a residential HOA board meeting. You can see here the Zoom meeting information, the dial-in. You're more than welcome to join. These normally run a couple hours depending on what's discussed or what issues there are. My hope is to reduce that into a digestible amount of time for you to keep up to date. So if you look here, the first step will be the homeowners forum. So this is sort of what the president will set out for homeowners who've joined. Mainly we do this, or they do this, so that way homeowners can voice their concerns, praises, or issues before the meeting gets really going, so that way you don't have to sit there the entire time waiting to get engaged on your issue. Most of the time what will happen is the board will acknowledge your issue or whatever the thing is. They'll explain to you, they'll have to get back to you. A lot of times what will happen is they'll reach back out to you individually. They'll get your contact information. The main individual who will do that is Raquel Prado. She's our community manager. She is paid by us via Goodwin. So Goodwin Management is the company that we pay with our homeowners' dues to kind of do the running and the day-to-day business of the HOA. Raquel is our on-site manager. This is a new thing for the Harris Ranch neighborhood. We've not ever had an on-site manager. We've always had a portfolio manager. The board recently, probably about 2 years ago now, decided it would be best if we had a full-time employee. We voted and decided to hire a representative from Goodwin. So Raquel is that person. She will be based out of the new building, the office building that's over there by the amenity center. So real quick thing, additionally, there's a quorum. The president has to call a quorum. We only have 5 board members that run this entire neighborhood of 2,100 homes. So they need at least 3 board members at every meeting to proceed. So Mike, the president, will call a quorum, and then they'll move forward with these next steps. So they approved the previous minutes. Those are posted on your town square. You can always go check those out on assignments, not assignments. They're on announcements. You can always go check those on announcements. And Raquel is normally responsible for posting those. The secretary, so you can always normally find the meeting minutes on town square. It's normally under announcements. Raquel or a representative at Goodwin will give that information to Town Square and they'll post it. The secretary of the HOA is normally the individual who puts together the minutes, records them, and then sends them off to be posted. You can always see those on Town Square. The additional piece to consider with that is right now, I was the previous secretary. I'm no longer on the residential board. The new secretary has yet to be announced. So right now, I believe Gary Belcher has been doing the minutes for the residential HOA. So if we move on, we'll go to the committee reports. These are just individual groups or individuals in the neighborhood who are volunteering and doing things or trying to work with the HOA to accomplish certain tasks or goals. The neighborhood representatives, it's normally individuals who've been here a long time. A lot of them have been in the neighborhood since the building of it. They reach out to Gary Belcher and provide him updates, complaints, concerns, things of that nature with what's going on in the neighborhood. He reports that up to us, but you're always more than welcome to join the call and, let us know there. I will be on every HOA meeting call that I can, so that way I can give you these updates. The old business is essentially items that occurred in the past or we're still working on. Lights for Meadowview and Lakeview, this is on the monuments. They're trying to get a lighting installation out there so that way the monuments are visible at night. They've been working on this for quite a while. Pricing is a little dicey, and the decision on whether to go with solar or run a power line out to these has been kind of back and forth. The tennis court locks, gate repair, this has been an ongoing issue in the neighborhood. There's a lot of individuals who want to play soccer on the courts. There used to be large backboards. Unfortunately, I think the members of the HOA board slowly removed those. They did put out 2 emails to the neighborhood. Unfortunately, we only got, last count was 4 updates from homeowners, 2 for it, 2 against it. Unfortunately, what has happened is the kids will kick the soccer ball against it, and there's a few homeowners who don't like the noise, so the punishment for the neighborhood was remove the backboards completely. What happens also in those instances when the individuals are trying to play soccer on the tennis court is they will smash the locks so that way they can get into the tennis court. The tennis court locks have been an ongoing thing since I've moved here and have been on and off the board. The TXCC, Texas Corps Conservation, is a project that led me onto the board. It's a part of the Gilliland Creek near Kilbarchan in St. Mirren. There's a creek that runs there, and I've been working with Austin Watershed, Keep Austin Beautiful, and Tree Folks to reestablish the riparian zone. That is the zone from the creek up to the upland, so where all the semi-aquatic plants live, in order to help stabilize that bank, prevent erosion, increase, filtration of the water, provide habitat for our native wildlife, all that good stuff. Texas Corps Conservation has been helping us remove Arundodonax out of those areas. It is a giant cane, giant reed, a non-native invasive that just eviscerates our ecosystems out here. You probably see it. I'll put a picture up here so you can, be well acquainted with it. And so they've been working with us to remove that, as well as our aquatic features, who are a local group who helps with our ponds. The Property Manager Welcome Program, that has been a project that has been led by Raquel and Gary Belcher. They've been essentially trying to put together a packet for new homeowners because there's a lot of information to know about Harris Branch neighborhood. And they're trying to condense that into, hey, welcome to the neighborhood, here's some basics, some stuff like that. So that way homeowners have some sort of idea of just how large we are. Essentially all the things I'm going to try and accomplish with this YouTube series, so that way you don't have to, buy a new house to receive the welcoming packet. You can just catch up here. The covered bike rack. Now that has been an interesting thing because that was a requirement by the city of Austin that we install a covered bike rack on our new community building, so that way cyclists would be able to go and park their bicycle in a covered location where it's safe from rain. And I had worked with David, the vice president, on this. I'd sent him some examples of good bike racks because unfortunately the one we have at our current location is very not good for bikes. Your tire sits in there, it bends spokes. It was an afterthought. So the thing is, Austin is very focused on, micro-transit. So that way we're not all in our big cars driving everywhere. We can take our bikes to the amenity center and park them, and we don't have to worry about them being rained on. They can be secured. I sent a lot of good examples to David, the vice president of the HOA. Unfortunately, I was kind of silenced. We didn't follow up. Mike didn't follow up with the city, and Gary and David were very excited to not have to pay for a covered biking. They feel microtransit and City of Austin ideals kind of clash with their worldview. The next piece on this old business is replacing the amenity center and the mailbox roofs, estimates, and insurance coverage. So we had all those hailstorms, and after that there was damage to those, so we had to get bids and see if it was covered by our insurance. The landscape violation rewording was an initiative I worked on because unfortunately our focus on lawns is very outdated. We're very focused on turf grass, which is just not sustainable. It's expensive to keep up. You waste a lot of money, a lot of time. And so what I wanted to do is kind of help provide alternatives for homeowners when it came to violations of, oh, you've got dead grass in your front yard, or there's a spot where there's not green grass. And in that rewording, I shared a bunch of great information about xeriscaping and xeriscaping in native wildlife yards. We have a lot of good resources here in Austin for that kind of information. I linked those in it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if Raquel and Goodwin put that in. We'll be following up with them to see if they actually moved forward with that. Otherwise, you're just going to get violations for, oh, your grass is dead or it's missing, and fix it. Moving on, we've got the landscaping damaged tree removal with stump grinding. That's letter H. That is in regards to the winter storm Uri that knocked out a bunch of our lacebark elms. This is actually a boon for the neighborhood because those trees are non-native invasive. Sometimes they're colloquially called Chinese elms, and they just eviscerate a lot of our native ecosystems. Their seeds wash down the river. If you go into many of our creeks, they're just taking over all of those areas. So it's good that those have been removed. Unfortunately, last I checked, Mike and Sunscapes, who is our landscaper, kind of dropping the ball on replacing a lot of these trees that have been removed. Looks like most of the time they're just going to go back in and put sod over it, kind of degrading the neighborhood, in my opinion, when it comes to, aesthetics and sustainability. The last letter J here, volunteers to serve on the Architectural Compliance Committee. That is a committee that is composed of homeowners. It is a great thing for you to get involved with, especially if you don't want to necessarily be on the board. You submit your information to Raquel. I believe the board will vote on if they want you in. Luckily for us, there was a Senate Bill 1588 that passed. That bill passed and kicked David Alley, the vice president, and Mike McLaughlin, the president, off of the ACC. See, they had been running on the ACC as well as the residential HOA. So it was a dual power sort of setup there. The state came in. Luckily, the state voted and said, no, you can't do that. You can't even have a spouse on it. So they got bumped off. So there's a total of 5 openings there. I know there's quite a few people who submitted for it. This will give you the opportunity to vote on and kind of help shape the character of the neighborhood. You'll get to vote on solar arrays and garage door replacements and roof replacements, things of that nature that actually are really important. And it's best that we have newer, younger homeowners who are well aware of where we're headed in the future and sort of, the things that are going to be appealing to the next generation, as opposed to individuals who are more than likely looking to just sell their homes and leave the neighborhood. All right, we've got letter K, Martin, to prepare a 3-stage process for fence repair replacement rollout for 2022, reserve expense 2022. Initiative here was Martin has a fence that he felt that was supposed to be covered by the HOA, even though his builder sent him the document showing that it wasn't. This unfortunately got picked up by Gary Belcher, who has a very bizarre infatuation with the neighborhood fences, not so much with fixing the sidewalks or installing bike paths or things that would actually make mobility for the people in the neighborhood better. He just is very focused on spending the HOA money on fixing fences. Unfortunately, Mike is very on board with this too, very focused on previous aesthetics, if you will, working on spending the HOA's money on replacing fences. They have said that it will only be on the HOA's property fences that have been traditionally the HOA's that will be replaced. However, it's been kind of unclear because some of the things in that 3-stage process were not listed as the HOA property. Unfortunately, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Moving on to letter L, Sterling Bridge fencing repairs. I believe there was a car wreck that happened there. That's been replaced. That's good to go. Letter M, we've got the enhanced yard sale signs. We've been doing the yard sale. We've updated that now to coincide with every large bulk pickup with the city of Austin, so that way you can put your stuff out, and then anything left you can put in the bulk pickup. That notice comes out on Town Square. You can follow it on Facebook. There's an event for it, as well as a flyer that post for on Craigslist to try and get traffic. Regard to the yard sale signs, it's just one big metal one. Mike and company struggle to take it out there and put it up, and so they're looking into like a larger banner sign, so that way they can put it up by the monuments and drive a little bit more foot traffic in the neighborhood when we do garage sales. Good thing, I think. Definitely better than the metal sign, and the more people who know that there's a garage sale, the better for all of us here. Moving on to letter N, we've got the pool fence. Requires repairs, panels needs replacing. Viking to repair fence panel. VP noted all fence posts are poorly anchored. 1-year warranty with Viking, need new footers. Essentially, we replaced the fence around the pool, and luckily David, the vice president, went out and checked it. It's very inadequate as far as structural rigidity. They've gone back with the company that installed it, Viking, and requested, deeper footers, more structural soundness to it, so that way, it protects the pool and the stuff inside the pool. And so they're working on that right now. As far as new business enforcement action, this is something that has been, it's kind of a broad topic there on new business, letter A. Enforcement action has been an issue as far as what it entails is Goodwin sends drivers around the neighborhood. Those drivers take pictures of your yards, they take pictures of your cars, things of that nature, and then that's how you get violations. Essentially, what's been going on is there are some accounts that have had a big focus on the largest accounts that are past due. This is mainly due to fines and not paying their assessments. So they've got it in their heads that the best thing to do is to punitive actions against neighbors and to go after these large offenders and start spending our money on Connie Heyer, who is our attorney, to go after these individuals and recoup that cost. I know we originally were doing a test run to see what the price was, because a lot of times you lose money when you're spending all that on the attorney just to get some crumbs. So that's what that's about. The new business, letter B, welcoming new board members and selection of officers for 2022. Vanessa Sias, or Silas, I'm not entirely sure how she pronounces the last name yet, but she is the new board member replacing me. And the selection of officers, normally what will happen, Mike will put his name out there. He'll be the president again. David will be the vice president again. I'm not sure if Jorge is going to remain the treasurer. We'll find out in the next meeting. And we'll see if Vanessa ends up picking up my previous spot as the secretary, or she just stays as a director. The additional thing that's new, something I tried to fight for on the last year of my term, was to expand the board. We originally, when I joined, had 7 members. And I tried to have it so that we increase the board to at least another 7, because we have homeowners who are running, and we're turning away people who want to be part of part of this process, and it makes 0 sense. Unfortunately, when they did that, I'm sure you saw the notice that came from the attorney. Unfortunately, when they did that, nobody had checked on it. And of course, as obvious as it is, nobody really cared, because, more representation is better for us as homeowners in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, Raquel with Goodwin went back into the CCNRs, found out that we are only allowed to have 5. I kind of positioned that, we had 7 before and it wasn't a problem. Why follow the rule now? Doesn't make any sense. Why would you turn away homeowners who want to be on the board and participate in this process? Unfortunately, as many of the instances when I was voicing things of inclusivity or sustainability, didn't go over too well. So what will happen is they have approved advisors, 2 advisors, kind of a real slap in the face, to be honest. These advisors will be selected by the board, not by the homeowners, not voted in by the homeowners. And they will simply sit there and advise. They will not get a vote on any of the board matters. They will not get a vote on any of the ACC matters. They will simply just sit there and give their opinion and hope the HOA board follows through with it. That'll be interesting to see who they pick for that. And we'll have more updates after the February 2022 meeting. Hopefully this has been eye-opening and informative, and you'll come back for next month's, and we'll keep going with coverage on the Harris Ranch HOA meetings. Until then, neighbor, y'all take care.